what's up, everybody? It's Eric McLeod here, and you're listening to Low Blow Radio podcast. It is a Wednesday, January 27th, 2021. It's just me tonight. Chris was unable to watch the stream, but I watched AEW Dynamite, and I'm going to give you a quick little blow-by-blow here of the show. So we kicked off with Eddie Kingston taking on Lance Archer, finally getting this matchup between these two. And man, JR always puts it best. What a slobber knocker you got between these two guys. A fully loaded match. Kingston certainly taking the grunt of the offense from Lance Archer in this back and forth here, but getting some offense in here and there, certainly more on the heelish side of things, trying to get away from Lance and taking advantage of the opportunities when he could. But Lance, definitely being the more, dominant the person in this matchup. He's certainly leaning far more into this face character, not letting Jake come out to ringside and stuff like that. So really fun face showing from Lance, and if you were going to get that much offense out of him and stuff like that, it certainly seemed like it was leaning towards the win. But like I had mentioned, he didn't allow Jake the Snake to come out, and they kind of led that into the story because Butcher and the Blade dragged Jake the Snake out to kind of distract Lance Archer as the Bunny gave a loaded hand, some sort of knuckle duster or something like that to Eddie Kingston as he was able to hit the spinning back fist on Lance Archer and put him away there. So I think a great win for Eddie, even though he took a grunt of the he was more on the defense side of things in the matchup. He talked so much stuff. It was nice to see him at least backing it up with the team and the family getting the win here and using their numbers to the advantage to distract Lance. And nothing, at least to me, nothing really takes away from the win, or nothing takes away from Lance with Eddie getting the win here, getting so much offense in. I think he looked fantastic in the match. Could certainly lead to another one down the road. I don't think he's finished with Kingston by any means, so we'll have to see what happens between those two later on. But Eddie walked away with the victory here, the family looking strong going forward. We had a little promo from John Moxley talking about his matchup coming up at Beach Break. We can talk more about that later on, but it was a great little promo, definitely worth checking out. He is always just on fire. John Moxley, firing on all cylinders right now. We got an interesting video package as well from Sting and Darby Allin putting over their street fight that is coming up at Revolution. Again, everything has sort of been brewing with the Team Taz, and it's going to be Sting and Darby going up against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks from Team Taz. So that was sort of who they were calling out in this promo, talking about how much they're hooligans and stuff like that, and they're going to have to bring that kind of side out of themselves for this street fight. So, not a bad promo. Interesting, very sort of intense side of Darby and Sting swinging their bats and skateboards at the glass, really, getting ready and amped up for this street fight. We had in the next match the Varsity Blondes taking on MJF and Chris Jericho, who are now the top tag team in the Inner Circle, and this is their first sort of dominant performance or first showing after the tag team clash that they had last week. So a really, really fun showing here from the Varsity Blondes, getting a lot of offense in both on Jericho and MJF. Telling a really fun story throughout the whole matchup, of really getting these two guys over as a new kind of fresh, fun team here in AEW. And I think they've done the work on Dark to really get them to this place. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing more from the Varsity Blondes and in big showcase matchups like this. I think that'll help them along the way immensely. So all for that. I like the way they went into the finish too. As everyone was kind of schmozed to the outside, Jericho was able to get Brian Pillman back into the ring, come off the ropes and hit him with a really beautifully set up Judas effect, figuring he would go for the pin right away. And then he went for a amazingly beautiful moonsault, which you can only imagine is his response to how people criticized his moonsault from last week, being a little bit off, a bit more on the botchy side, and showing that yes, even this late in the match, he can hit that kind of maneuver, instilled that perfectly at this age. So not something he needs to stop doing at all, but maybe it's all about timing and those kind of things. Hit it perfectly here to get the win on Brian Pillman Jr. For their team over the Varsity Blondes. And yeah, fun showing for MJF and Chris Jericho. They may be my front runners now for winning the Battle Royal tournament next week. We might have to see how that shakes out. I'm curious what they end up doing inside that Battle Royal for sure. We had a video package from Pac, also talking about Beach Break. This was sort of the go-home show to Beach Break, so we got a lot of that sort of lead-in stuff for the Beach Break show. And this was a really, much like the other Pac videos that we had got, but I'm enjoying that sort of vain, very intense side of Pac, as he was calling out Kenny and the Good Brothers for attacking his friend Penta, and that him and Phoenix were certainly going to show him what real brotherhood is like. So nice sort of call out there. Speaking of call outs, though, we had Cody Rhodes hitting the ring next to sort of address the stuff going on with Shaq. They play a replay of Shaq sort of addressing it as well. I believe it was something to do with the AEW Awards, where he had mentioned Cody saying that, hey, if we're gonna keep doing all this talk and stuff, maybe we should just get to the match, maybe sometime in March. So yeah, it certainly seems like they are, full steam ahead towards some involvement between Cody Rhodes and Shaq. So he is sort of addressing it to some degree, but talking about how maybe he's got so much else to focus on right now with his life changing, becoming a dad with Brandy being pregnant now and things like that. Then he starts getting some counseling from Arn Anderson, though, as well, cutting a really good kind of promo, letting Cody know about a time where his father had wrestled a big match, but was still able to fly across country and make it there just in time to see Cody's birth. So even a big busy man can still accomplish these big things, and that maybe this thorn in his road right now should be taken out, and that maybe there's something that has slipped between the cracks here on Cody that he has maybe missed to kind of help him along the way with him against Shaq and Jade, and he brings out Red Velvet, and she cut a great promo straight talking about Jade. So I thought that was a really nice way to kind of set that up. I think if they had just sort of told us outright that Red Velvet was going to have a promo for Jade, I think there would have been some hype, but it is what it is. I think having Cody be the main portion of this, I think that was always the intent. This match, I think, always going forward was supposed to be Brandy and Jade Cargill going initially, but obviously with Brandy being pregnant and stuff like that, they have to insert somebody else into this position. And what a fantastic place for Red Velvet to get the shine here. I think she will be able to work very well in this position, sort of joining the Nightmare family, so to speak, to fill that role, saying that she's not sort of going to take any beef from Jade Cargill. So yeah, I'm not like super hot on this angle, but excited for some of the people involved. I'm a big Cody fan, so I'm always curious to see what he's doing going on. And AEW certainly haven't faulted too much with some of this celebrity involvement stuff, so I think they know to keep Shaq's stuff to a minimum. Moving on match-wise, we had Hangman Page taking on Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Nemeth. My gosh, this guy is such a hunk. He has me all flustered up with my words. He is, if you don't know, the brother of Dolph Ziggler. And geez, if you didn't know that, you would have thought Dolph Ziggler had time traveled and all of a sudden shown up here in an AEW ring. This guy looks like a spinning image of Dolph Ziggler. Certainly not quite wrestling to the caliber of Dolph Ziggler right now, but there's certainly tons of elements there for this guy. Him and Hangman put on a really, really fun matchup. I like the heel stuff from Ryan Nemeth in this. Like I said, a little bit green, but it's always a work in progress, and I think if that's someone they want to commit to, especially having his debut match be on Dynamite rather than Dark, I think they definitely see something in this guy, and they could certainly move things going forward. But good back and forth between him and Hangman. The other kind of story going on was about mid-match. Matt Hardy all of a sudden joined ringside, and they were sort of curious about that. He was sort of calling on Hangman Page, which seemed a little bit interesting. Hangman Page ended up winning the match with the buckshot finish, or the buckshot lariat to get the finish on Ryan Nemeth. Like I said, really good back and forth though between these two. And then he kind of summons Matt Hardy into the ring to sort of get some answers as to why he'd sort of come out here. They get Tony Schiavone to enter the ring as well with a microphone, asking Matt what sort of incited his presence out here, and he sort of like, hey, I don't want to intrude at all. I just want to let Hangman know that I appreciate him. Think he's a great guy. I think that he's doing great things here in AEW. That I think he's going through a really hard time. It's a shame what happened between him and Kenny and the Bucks. He was there during the Stadium Stampede with him, which is true, and he knows how much those guys mean to him. And he says it's a real shame them stabbing him in the back, and this sort of pressure from the Dark Order isn't helping things either. He sees that he doesn't really, have anybody right now, and he's been changing in the hallways and seems like a real sort of lost soul. He sort of offers up his giant locker room as a sort of olive branch, so to speak, saying no sort of strings attached, but sort of you need a space to sort of not be left out in the halls, that he is welcome over there in Hardy's dressing room. So yeah, very curious how this piles into things, especially with Matt and Private Party's involvement now with Impact as well, and then obviously Kenny and the Good Brothers, and then with the back and forth stuff too. So very curious how Hangman will all of a sudden play out into this as well. So really curious about that, especially with him not having anything next week for the beach break specifically. Next match, though, here on Dynamite, we had Dax Harwood taking on Jungle Boy. This was kind of set up from their tag match a few weeks ago when they had sort of really put the beat down on Marco, and then sort of being challenged last week to a singles match. Jungle Boy challenging Dax here, and this was by far, I'd say, the best match of the night. This a fantastic showing from these two. They gave them a lot of time to put on a great contest and a great story to make sure the match they were able to tell was all about the in-ring competition, because they took all the outside sort of distractions away, and rather than banning everyone from ringside, then you were thinking about who was going to have a run in or something like that. They literally just handcuffed the two other members of FTR, like Tully, the manager, and his tag partner, Cash, to Luchasaurus. He was able to keep them ringside. They all kind of sat there off in the far corner, and he was sort of, just kind of keeping them at bay. So these two could really just focus on having this fantastic singles match and getting, certainly this other side of Jungle Boy over, this intensity to him, this baby face side that, I mean, it's always been there, but is growing more and more, especially now to see it in the singles place is working fantastic, that he's able to come up with a game plan and work things out on his own in these matches, come up with more move sets and stuff like that. They were talking about the new submissions that he had been adapting and things like that, and those came into play. So I think that was really fun story he was able to tell with Dax here. And like I say, it's all about partners and something like this. And Dax, I'm gonna say you feel like a broken record now saying how much that Dax reminds you of Arn Anderson, but it has got to be the best compliment you could give the guy. I mean, Arn Anderson is by far one of the most amazing, legendary wrestlers of all time. And, you don't give that compliment to absolutely everybody. And he has earned that place to be, said to be sort of the next Arn Anderson, or very Arn Anderson-like, because you certainly see it not only in his offense, but in his selling as well. So definitely the match I would recommend, by far my favorite of the night. Jungle Boy winning with, like I had said, working on with the submissions. He managed to get the snare trap locked in, which he was attempting throughout the matchup, putting Dax away. as he kind of locked it in Rings of Saturn style, getting the arm involved as well. As Tully and Cash were not able to help him, Dax had to tap. But, gotta take a quick drink. But the after they were handcuffed, of course, they got to get a little bit heat back on this team here. So they were handcuffed to Luchasaurus. As soon as they get unhandcuffed, they threw some salt or chalk into his eyes, threw him into the post, and then really started laying it into the Jurassic Express in the ring, hitting their big rig finish on Luchasaurus, and then on Jungle Boy, I think it was, and then they went for the spike pile driver on Luchasaurus. Then they had handcuffed him to the ropes, looked like they were going to start doing some, they'd handcuffed to the ropes, and they did do some more damage to him. They got a pair of scissors out, and they cut off his horn. So it looks like maybe we're going to get a new look to Luchasaurus or something like that going forward, unless he's got the exact replica mask of that in the back. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, sort of definitely playing into, they don't, they've had enough of this sort of dinosaur and his gimmick and that sort of stuff. And then looked like they were going to get into more stuff on Jungle Boy, setting him up for another maneuver, then being chased off by Marco Stunt and the SCU and Top Flight and stuff like that. So yeah, other tag teams here, you certainly had enough of the FTR's shenanigans in this matchup. But yeah, fantastic Dynamite showing here for Dax and Jungle Boy. We had a little video promo with Team Taz, as they were also talking about Sting and Darby Allin. This one was out in the sort of parking lot area. They were right in front of what looked like to be sort of a merch t-shirt setup area, mainly covered with Sting and Darby t-shirts. They were a little upset about that kind of stuff, as well as sort of talking shit to Sting and Darby. They were also trashing the merch stand and humiliating and beating up the guys working there and stuff like that. So a lot leading into this street fight, getting you used to the surroundings, and the build has begun as we move into Revolution time. But right now, we're still building to Beach Break. And speaking of Beach Break, Britt Baker has a big match coming up at that one, but we got to see her tonight on Dynamite as she took on Shayna, who has returned. Someone we saw early in the Dynamite days, unfortunately had been in I think Paris for the last little while due to the COVID restrictions and things like that, not being able to travel, has relocated recently back to America, getting the swing of things on Dark recently as well, getting a bunch of wins and kind of getting back used to being here in AEW. And I thought her and Britt put on a really, really good women's match here. I think a lot of unforeseen opportunistic moments from Shayna that I thought were really fun, that she took advantage of. But I mean, Britt Baker is just such a star in so many ways, even if it's just how much she plays to the camera, the addition of Rebel with her, all kinds of stuff. There's just all kinds of great things. I could go on and on about how amazing Britt Baker is, but I really enjoy her performance. Really great showing here as well, going into the Thunder Rosa match at Beach Break. So she gets the lockjaw locked in here, staring right down the lens at basically, you would assume Thunder Rosa, as she locks in this lockjaw, putting Shayna away in a real sort of enhancement match, so to say, for Britt. Not necessarily so much of a back and forth, but Shayna did have her spots in, so I thought it did make for a fun competition. She went for a bit of a beatdown afterwards, but was chased off by Thunder Rosa. I'm definitely excited for that matchup. I think they're two of the best women they have, and can't wait to see them competing. I'm not sure where it lied either. They also mentioned a little bit about the women's tournament that's coming up. I know we hadn't got a chance to mention it last week, but wanted to make sure at least got to touch on it somewhat here while it came to mind. At first, I thought by looking at the brackets, due to the flag choices, that they were going to have a full bracket of Japanese matches happening, which I thought was really, really interesting and cool way of reintroducing the Joshis to the American audience here. But it does seem like the way they mentioned Shida was that she was, or that they mentioned Riho, sorry, who is returning here, that she was more representing Japan, and that it was more going to be the Joshis versus the Americans or something like that, maybe going forward with this tournament. But again, I'm still all for the tournament and how much buzz it's building before they get to some of the matchups, and it feels like they're going with a few individual as they go, and building that way rather than a one night tournament or something like that, which I think is really good for the division as well. Puts a lot of stakes on all those matchups and a reason to have them and have you pay attention to them. So all for that going forward. We had Sammy Guevara MJF looking for Sammy Guevara in the back of the arena there at Daly's place, trying to sort of let him know that, he didn't want MJF to get involved, or Wardlow to get involved in the match last week. And he docked his pay and all this kind of stuff, really trying to reassure Sammy of his place here in the inner circle. And Sammy Guevara is certainly having none of this, letting MJF know he knows exactly what he's up to. He doesn't care who he's, turned and manipulated in other ways and that kind of stuff. He knows what's going on, and he's, not going to play into these games. MJF certainly looks like he's sort of had it with trying to play these games with Sammy as well, and retorts that you really want to kind of go down this road, buddy. And he's definitely letting them know that there's no games to be had. So we'll have to see how things shake out between MJF and Sammy Guevara, but it seems like the implosion of the inner circle is maybe coming sooner rather than later. We move on to the main event of the evening. It's a little bit harder when it's just me here, so give me a bit of a break. I get a little tripped up there with my voice. But anyways, we're moving on here to the main event. It was the Good Brothers teaming with the Young Bucks. We get a bit of a video package with them reuniting in the back, kind of getting ready for this matchup. Really funny guys. I love the Good Brothers. I think they're so charismatic and stuff like that. Really enjoyed them on the mic here. It seemed like they were definitely trying to at least pop the Bucks a little bit. But story-wise, I liked how they kind of ended this just before they were about to go out. They had Kenny showing up, kind of confronting the Bucks, being like, hey, is there something we need to talk about? Obviously, the stuff with Don Callis last week that hasn't been addressed. Don also showed up as well, face all bandaged up. And it seemed like the Bucks were certainly admitting that, he seemed to be selling everybody a bill of goods there, and that it wasn't them that did this to Don Callis. So there's certainly far more to the story here, and we'll have to see how that develops later on. But we get to the matchup, and man, what a matchup it was. This new face Dark Order, who they were facing, is just wow, what a match, what a team they are. I was going to say, we've been seeing it so much from John Silver, and that's the one I would certainly want to put over the most in this matchup. But his partner Alex Reynolds as well certainly got lots of fun spots in as well. Silver certainly getting the more so of that, but as well so Evil Uno and Stu Grayson showing that now they can adapt to this working face side of things too, getting the crowd into it. And you can just tell everyone wants the Dark Order to win. And they really feel like genuine baby faces right now after them having to go through so much actual sadness and stuff like that. You really want some happy things to go through with the Dark Order here. I'm going to say it seems even the commentators were saying how jarring it seems like the homegrown team now cheering for AEW is your Dark Order, and not the place we were a few months ago. But yeah, you're all for it here, and really wanting them to get a great showing, and they certainly did. But the Good Brothers as well had a really fun match, and I like the storytelling of sort of the trepidation of the Young Bucks leading into it, but then sort of the Good Brothers using a little bit more heel tactics, and then the Bucks seeing the aggression of the other team and seeing their each other's brother being attacked and stuff like that, and then that getting them more hyped and more into the matchup to defend themselves and their team, and still wanting to win. I'm going to say they're still competitive athletes and that kind of thing. They're not just going to give up the matchup. So, but I like that they kind of the Good Brothers sort of had to draw that heel side out of them there. So a really, really, really fun main event, I think, especially for a go-home style. You want something big and exciting, and you get that with the big sort of Silver comeback, which has become probably one of the more exciting things they can ever do, when he just gets to run around the ring and hit everybody. But they had all the big fun outside spots, as well as in-ring big spots as well, like the Magic Killer and stuff from the Dark Order as well. But we get a Meltzer driver to finish things off for the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers walking away with the win. They get on the mic and announce that they've also been added to the Battle Royal match for Beach Break, which is interesting because that Battle Royal is to determine who the number one contender is. They say if they win, though, the little twist there is going to be that they will hand pick who they think they will face at Revolution. And they kind of turn to the Good Brothers and they say, you never know who that could be. So like that kind of tease there, that maybe some sort of inner turmoil, but maybe more so in the inner circle way, where they kind of just got to work things out, and we're just going to get a real fun matchup. But also telling more so of this story between where does Kenny's loyalties lie, and what's going to be this sort of new Bullet Club going forward. But a real fun main event, all for Beach Break next week. Can't wait to see it and bring you guys a blow-by-blow about it. Really hope Chris is back for that too, because hey, these aren't as easy on my own, but hopefully you were able to make it all through here with me. And thank you if you did. That about wraps things up though for me. Oh yeah, I guess we can say with I'd like to at least mention what else happened in the ring. They get attacked by Phoenix real quick, and then they are about to jump him and get a bit of a beatdown on him. John Moxley comes out, chases them all off, gets almost attacked by Kenny Omega, laid out by Kenny. John Moxley lays out Kenny Omega. All right, I think I'm falling apart here a little too much. But yes, that's what happened. John Moxley laid out Kenny Omega. That is how we wrapped up this AEW Dynamite. He was looking strong going into their, you would assume, the big main event of Beach Break as well. So yeah, like I said, great kind of go home for that, especially with that kind of moment there with John Moxley and Kenny getting involved a little bit, but you're certainly far more amped up to finally see Kenny and John Moxley getting back into the ring and getting some back and forth action between these two. But we'll have to wait for Beach Break for that. Like I said, hope Chris is back with this next week for this one. But anyways, we will return for more fun here on Low Blow Radio Podcast, more blow by blows. You can catch the podcast on Sounder if it goes up there, and it goes all to in audio form to all the other podcast platforms. If you're here on YouTube, thank you for watching and working yourself through my sort of weird solo episodes here. But thank you very much. You can subscribe here for more Low Blow Radio podcast videos. You can also, like I said, subscribe to the channel. You can like it for more for when new videos come out, and you can get into the comments and let me know what you thought about my little rambling end to this episode. All right, everybody, we'll be back next week for Low Blow Radio Podcast. Now